racial discrimination still remains a feature of the Barbadian socio-economic landscape to this very day, Mr. President. Now, there are some among us who believe that there's no such thing as racial discrimination in Barbados. And they will have you believe that what we experience here can be better described as some form of elitism or classism. But there's evidence to support the view that what really exists in Barbados can be described, and these are the words of Barbadian historians, can be described as crypto-racism, which in their words is even more insidious than the overt racism that we have seen in other jurisdictions, Mr. President. The reason being that this crypto-racism has managed to camouflage itself by appearing to be traditional forms of recreation, traditional forms of leisure time, traditional forms of commercial activity. So you may not necessarily see it on the surface, but just scratch below the surface and it's there. And nowhere is this more evident, Mr. President, than in the workplace. How else would you explain a person laboring diligently in an organization for years, Mr. President, for years, and being overlooked for promotion, all the while being superseded by persons of a lighter hue, with significantly less years of experience and qualifications? How will you describe, Mr. President, the disparity in salary of persons of a similar grade, similar job description, where one person just happened to be of a different race? How will you describe, Mr. President, the language that's directed and the manner in which some persons are treated at the hands of their employer, who just happen to be of a different race, Mr. President? How do you describe it? These aforementioned are but some of the experiences that many a person in Barbados, many a person has encountered. But yet some would have us believe that racial discrimination does not exist in this country. This bill, Mr. President, in a small way, seeks to remedy this historical wrong. I refer to, I believe it's clause 24, subsection 1. Just let me When I highlighted it here, where it speaks to an employee if they experience some form of discrimination in the workplace by another member of staff, they have, it now allows them to write a complaint within the 3 months period. To complain, to put in writing to write complain about the experience, and the employer is now compelled by law to investigate that complaint. What might have occurred in the past is that the employer might have dismissed the employee, that person, either dismiss them by ignoring them, or maybe go as far as to dismiss them by way of termination. But now, this law, under this law, that employer now is now compelled to investigate. And if it is found, Mr. President, that discrimination occurred within the workplace, then the employer is obligated to act against the perpetrator, bring disciplinary action against the perpetrator. And if by chance the perpetrator happens to be the employer still has the right to put in writing a complaint, and perhaps if nothing is done about it, may go as far as the Employment Rights Tribunal to have their complaint heard at that level. So this particular provision here, this particular bill, Mr. President, is a step towards bringing that level of equality within the workplace, fairness within the workplace, Mr. President. So persons who are experiencing this, and believe me, there are persons who can tell you about the indignity of being treated in that manner because of their race, and how it makes a person feel. And now they have recourse. I want to turn my attention to another form of discrimination, which is also very prevalent in Barbados. This is sex discrimination. Discrimination based on your sex or your gender. And this involves treating someone unfavorably because of their sex, whether they are applying for a job or whether they are already employed. Mr. President, the issue of sex discrimination still lingers within our society. Although women have proven consistently and conclusively that they possess the ability to perform with the same proficiency and achieve the same successes as men, the belief that they are weak have often denied them the opportunity to function in certain roles within organizations, and it has curtailed their occupational development. Now, let me hasten to add that although sex discrimination is predominantly an issue that impacts women, there are some men who are sometimes victims of sex discrimination as well. So I just want to make that point of patriarchy within our society. Patriarchy is perpetrated, it's through